What's up, guys? I finally gotten around to making a video of the conversion process of my Jurassic Park Jeep. So this compilation of clips and photos was taken over the span of 3 months late last year. I mostly worked on this project alone, but did get some help in that time from good friends. I want to give a big thank you to Alan, Gregory, and Hussein for their help and knowledge, and my family who supported my crazy obsession. Hopefully this video helps out any future JP Jeep builders, or even inspires a few others.
Alright guys, so if you can believe it, all this crap's been sitting in my apartment for the better of a year. Don't know how my wife hasn't killed me yet. This is all the stuff I pulled out of my room and from around the house that I've been storing up in preparation for this day. And today's the day I start moving stuff to actually start converting it. So a quick rundown really quick of stuff I've collected over the past year. A single radial tire, because even if I found a full set, I wouldn't be using these due to them being old and discontinued rubber. I don't want to put those and roll around with those on my Jeep. Second, it's covered up right now just to prevent dust and dirt and my dog getting to it. That's the Ramsey REP 6000 winch. This are my six wheels I have. I got them all powder coated and they're ready for paint pretty much. All the clear coat is stripped off. Here is a light bar I had fabricated. This is actually the most accurate light bar I've ever seen made, simply because it has the correct style welds right there. These are the door panels that were on my Jeep. I took them off to clean them. The pouches were pretty dirty, so no reason to put them back on because I'm going to be removing the doors and sanding them, painting the inside of the doors, so I'm just going to leave them off for now. There's an extra center console, which I haven't decided if I'm going to use yet. Here's a set of KC amber lights. Paint gun I purchased to do the job, and an extra set of 92 Sahara doors. Right guys, well the day's finally come. Going to be working on the Jeep from here on out for the next maybe 3 weeks. I'm here in my parents' garage where I'm going to be working out of. Thankfully they allowed me to set up shop here. A few of my supplies. I'm still waiting on a few more. So today basically going to be pulling some of the top, I guess, the spare tire, basically pulling parts off the Jeep. As you can see, I was already able to get the fog lights and the bumperettes off. I'm going to get maybe the little Jeep placker and the tow hooks off. Probably see some of the hardware as well. See how far along I get today. I'll be here for a few hours. But yeah, guys, this is the beginning of the journey. Took the soft top off, the soft top hardware, got to the doors, the bumper, with no trim taken off today, none of the fender flares, I didn't get around to that. Took all the soft top hardware off, didn't get to the trunk today or the spare tire, and tomorrow I'll probably get started on these roll bars, as I'm probably going to paint them as well, sand beige. So I'm taking care of the striping on the Sahara lines. See, I'm gonna get to the logo and Jeep logo next. I did the back one, don't know if you can see. Just wiped it down with some adhesive cleaner after, because it does leave this little residue there that you definitely want to get off before you start sanding. And the trick is to just go slow, don't really pull too hard with your fingers, and try to keep it straight. If you start to tug downward, it'll rip. And doesn't make it too much more difficult, it's just annoying because you have to basically restart. Let me show you guys what I'm using. Pretty much just a plastic blade here with a little scraper tool so it doesn't damage the metal. But yeah, just press that up really hard against the tub of the Jeep and start scraping, and once you get a little bit, just start peeling away. So I just primed my wheels. I'm going to get started on the light bar here. So I have 6 wheels again. Have an extra spare I'll be mounting on these. And yeah, so that's it. I'm just going to leave them out here to dry. Get this light bar primed so it prevents any rust. And maybe do a few more things today before I head back home. So today I took the roll bar extensions off to the windshield. I dropped the windshield. I'm probably going to remove the windshield, not today, but I'm going to sand basically all inside here, sand beige, just like the movie. And I also have 2 reasons for removing the roll cage. One, obviously I'm going to paint it sand beige as well. And the second being, I have new roll bar padding thanks to Troy from the Jurassic Park Motorpool. My YJ didn't come with a factory soundbar, so the ones with factory soundbars actually have slits in the roll bar padding there, so the hooks can hook on and be screwed in. And also too, this bar, this here, the roll bar extensions to the windshield, is actually a shortened bar so that the sound bar can clamp on and be screwed on to the bar there. These are the longer type, basically the non-factory soundbar ones. So my factory soundbar that I bought wouldn't fit unless I changed the roll bar padding, but I was able to get some original OEM Spice roll bar padding, so I'll be switching that out. Again, that stubborn side step still isn't off, and maybe take these bumperettes off and this tow hitch here that someone at some point added to the Jeep. But yeah, there's a quick update of where I'm at.
So the only modification the previous owner made on this Jeep was adding this body armor to the back, which was riveted on and had to be drilled out. So the previous owner said there was no body damage this was hiding. I didn't know if to believe him, but I guess we were going to find out at this moment. And even though the armor looked pretty cool, it wasn't screen accurate, so it definitely had to come off. Alright, so we finally drilled out this body armor here, and I can see from the inside here there's some damage, so we're going to find out right now what extent of the damage is there. Hopefully it's not too bad. So yeah, this is kind of the moment of truth to see why this panel was there. Definitely you can see bodywork's been done.
Okay, so they replaced like a whole, basically this whole quarter panel.
So yeah, it just looks like pretty much this is a new panel that was black that they put on.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't look bad at all.
Wow. Well, that's good relief, isn't it? Huh?
Pretty happy. I mean, you can feel a few spots where it's kind of a little uneven, but to the naked eye, you won't notice it. So that's huge relief right there.
Yeah, all you gotta do is plug in the holes.
Yeah,
and then,
basically, so these holes that were left here from the pop rivets, we'll use some Bondo glass. Just fill those here and a few other ones here. Just fill those and yeah, smoothen it out, sand it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's about as good of a job as I could hope to do if I had to replace or repair this panel, so pretty happy.
So, very relieved, yeah?
Yeah, good day today. So up until this point, I was pretty much just stripping the Jeep of all the parts. This was the day I was actually going to start sanding the Jeep. So I set up a little tent outside in my parents' driveway. I had help this day from Alan and Brian. Alan is actually one of the founders of the Jurassic Park Motorpool with Jurassic Jeep 05. He's actually sanded and painted a couple Jeeps now, so he was a huge help, huge guidance for me during the whole project. So the three of us made a lot of progress on this first day. We did it all by hand. I actually didn't want to use a sander because I didn't have a air-powered sander, so I didn't want to use an electric sander. They were gracious enough to help me and not complain the whole day, even though we got about 70% of the Jeep done. It was really tedious and tiring, and I really, again, thanks to those guys for coming out and helping me out. It really meant a lot that day. So the process actually took me quite a bit longer than I expected. I was expecting to finish sanding everything maybe in about 2 to 3 days, but it actually ended up taking me about 2 weeks or so. Luckily, I had people popping in here and there. My brother, a couple friends, and my dad helped me sand for a couple hours here and there. So that really helped. And in between, when I got tired, I just went to do something else because sanding, like I said, it can get really tedious. Kind of things like paint the black trim on the Jeep, all the plastic parts, just with some matte black spray paint I found at Home Depot. And also prep all the fender flares and other plastic parts that did need to be painted with sand beige. So with most of the sanding done, I decided to break the painting job into 2 parts. Pretty much take the trunk, the doors, the fender flares, all the small parts that I can take in one trip and paint them first, kind of to get the hang of the painting too, because I'd never painted anything before. This is my first time. Pretty much just learned through YouTube videos and experience from friends and getting tips here and there. And as for the Jeep itself, we actually primed it in my garage. We just set up a makeshift paint booth, and I had my buddy Hussein come by with his compressor. And thankfully he did the priming for me in my garage so that my Jeep wouldn't rust just sitting there, because I actually hadn't scheduled a paint day at this point for the actual Jeep. So when I finally did schedule a paint day, we did actually have to tow the Jeep to the paint booth because it wasn't drivable in this condition. And I'll be quite honest, this was probably one of the most nerve-wracking days of my life because I really didn't want to screw this up. So for my first time ever painting, I was actually extremely happy with how I did. There were some issues, as you can see from that video clip. I was moving a little too slow and held the gun a little too close to the hood. As you can see in this photo, there's actually some issues with the hood. I eventually ended up deciding to redo the hood, so I had to remove it, resand it, and take it back to the booth to refinish it. But it was worth it in the end. It ended up coming out much better, and the rest of the Jeep was completely fine. So at this point on the Jeep, I pretty much just started putting all the trim back on, the door panels, put the tail lights on, and the license plate. This was all a really satisfying part of the process to see it finally coming together. Here are the fog lights that Hussein helped me install with the OEM fog light switch there. The decals, they were nerve-wracking as well, trying to get them straight, trying to get them aligned just properly. I looked at frames from the movie to get the placement. I think I did a good enough job. I'm really happy with how they look. So the red was probably the biggest compromise I made on the Jeep itself. I actually had already purchased some Ford Performance red that I was originally going to use, but at this point I had already visited the paint booth about 3 times. I was running out of cash, and because of previous issues with my sand beige originally, I was afraid I might screw up on the red and worried on how I would fix that if that were to happen. So I ended up going to Home Depot and just purchasing some Rust-Oleum Poppy Red. It was a satin finish, and I pretty much sprayed a sample. I was happy with the look, and like I said, this was the biggest compromise I probably made. I am really anal when it comes to the details, but overall was really happy with how it looks. It has a slight orange pinkish tint to it, which in the movie in a lot of scenes the red does look fairly bright and fairly poppy, so it also made it really easy to just spray the stripes at home. So for the stripes, I used the measurements that can be found on JurassicJeep.com and a laser level just to kind of get the lines all nice and straight. So to get crisp lines on the paint, you want to use some pinstriping tape you can find at any auto body supply shop. And you definitely want to make sure you mask everything off well so you don't get any overspray of the red on the sand beige. It'll be really noticeable.
So today was kind of a big day. I laid the red stripes on my Jeep. So as of right now, it's probably about 90% done. This was probably one of the biggest tasks I had yet to do. I had done the rear stripes and the windshield, but I finally got the front stripes done and the hood decals. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. There are some issues with the hood. You can probably see right here, really faint stripes. I'm not a professional painter. I did the hood 2 times, and both times I came out with issues, and basically I've been working on this Jeep too long now to redo it again in the future. If it really bothers me, I guess I can redo it then at a future time, but right now I just need to get this job done and take it out on the streets where it belongs.
So at this point there really wasn't much left other than to put on the windshield and a few other little things here and there. The hood actually ended up working out. I guess after time it faded evenly, and out in the sun and other light you can't notice it really at all. So after attaching the light bar, it was pretty much 90% done at this point. The last thing I needed to do was switch out the wheels to the red 5-spoke Jeep wheels that I had, putting the soft top frame back on, and adding the whip antenna the next day.
This is the Jurassic Park Broadcasting Service. Inlet outpost since 1980. Central Supply at the Worker Village on Isla Sorna announces that the special U.S. dispatch has arrived, bringing with it a generous supply of extra fine mosquito netting, guaranteed to be impervious to mosquitoes and no CMs. If you see army ants, poison dart frogs,
what the fuck? That's a fucking radio for this.
local fauna considered dangerous in your area, please contact the animal. In addition, any non-indigenous animals such as compies or microceratops seen outside enclosures should also be reported. Please do not attempt to capture these small dinosaurs on your own. In other news, new animals will be delivered to many. These areas include terrace complete, carnivore country, sauropods, and triceratops territory.
So at this point I was completely done. After a year of planning and 3 months of hard work, I could finally enjoy the fruits of my labor. Now, there are a lot of details I left out of this video, pretty much small things like respooling the winch, getting wiring done, stubborn bolts here and there. I didn't want to make this video too long and boring. So hopefully you enjoyed this look at how I made my Jurassic Park Jeep. If you like, follow me on Instagram. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them here. I'll try my best to answer them. And if you're planning on making a Jurassic Park Jeep, all the best luck to you. It was definitely a rewarding experience for me and one I'll never forget.